Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. I wanted to make a video about some of my decks that have cultural influence to them. I didn't include all of them, but I have certain areas where I chose a deck that embodies maybe cultural philosophies. So I was thinking about making this a tag. I'm not sure if anyone would do a video response, but I'm really interested in hearing and watching you guys if you have any decks that hold any cultural influence on them. So I have a couple that I wanted to talk about, but I do have some honorable mentions. So the first one comes in this bag, and I got this when I was living in the Northeast still. So it's the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot. I haven't taken this one out in a while, but looking at it makes me think that it has aged a bit, which isn't a bad thing. I love the cardstock of this one. This one is matte, it's thick, and it has a parchment texture, and the card on top is Marie Laveau. So I really love the archetypes that are in this deck. And before I get started with showing you guys some of the cards, besides showing that first one, I wanted to show the book that I used with this deck mainly. And this is the Voodoo Hoodoo Spellbook by Denise Alvarado, forward by Dr. Snake. I didn't use the spells in here, but there is a lot of information about the different Loas and Orishas in here. So you can see that I did some highlighting. This one has Baron Shemeti and Black Hawk, and the Black Hawk is a Native American during the time of slavery, and it was said that Native Americans and African Americans were separated during this time so it wouldn't cause an uproar and fight against their own, the ones that made them work on the plantations. So I really love the information that it has in here. And I love the combination of the specific name that these sigils have. So at the bottom of the card you can see the Loa or Orisha that's associated with the card. And with the Empress card, there's the Emperor card that goes with it because they're said to be a couple. And the cards at the bottom they have some different language to it. So this is like of the flame. And even the court cards, they have different names on the bottom, and also the different suits, they have different names too. So Congo for cups, Petro for wands, Santeria is earth, and Rada is the air or swords. And these tell a beautiful story. I did get a backup copy for it, but it was a different cardstock. I feel like I have the older edition because the other edition that I have is plastic cardstock, and it has a bit of a shine to it. I don't mind it, but I really love this one. So they have archetypes like Damballa Weedu, and there's the other counterpart. So this one is the Emperor with Loco. And one of my favorite stories is Obatala. And Obatala is on the Four of Pentacles, and he is said to be the drunk creator. And when he was creating people, creation in general, he made them with different features and I guess like differences, and he did it while he was drinking or after he was drinking. They even have this for the tower. So I have to pace myself because I do have a couple to talk about. If you want to see a review on this, I can show you because it is a interesting deck. I really love it. It's before it was one of my most used decks. And I feel like I want to start working with it again now that I have some decks that I haven't worked with it in a while out. And I was very fortunate to get that one, this specific cardstock, because I remember it was on eBay and the whole set was out of my price range, but there was one on eBay for just the deck for $15, and I ordered that one. And the second copy that I got in a trade, it came with the book, but I really prefer this one. And I actually got this one a couple of years ago when I was posting on my older channel that's now a reading channel. I got over 60 bucks from a person on Craigslist. She was getting rid of a lot of her witchy books because she was moving, and the book was in the pile that I got from her, and it was such an amazing price, and she even added more books because she was super nice about it. So I really appreciate that. An honorable mention, so this is Tarot and Oracle, so this is a yogic path, and surprise, it's very colorful on the inside. So I'm saying this as an honorable mention because I pull this out mainly for daily draws. If I want to meditate, it's mainly when I go into this area of the house and I leave it on my bedside, because my husband and I have two separate closets in our room. So I kind of made it my own separate room where I keep a lot of my tarot stuff too. And I have a yoga mat underneath. So these are the cards, and what's amazing about this deck is that it's really soothing. It's something to think about, but they aren't intrusive thoughts. So it's great for when you're meditating. So this is the card that I got today, Brahma. So there are deities in here, and this deck, even though it's very calm, it does have some influence because I did have Kali, after getting this deck, come to me in my dream to send me a message, which was really awesome. So aside from the deities, there's also there's different sections in the deck and in the book. different cards in the deck and different sections in the book where it talks about certain aspects. So there's spirituality, there's Ayurveda, there's yoga, chakras, and it's nice to read through. It doesn't necessarily give a lot of information, but it is fun to read. So there is full-sized images, and there's the reversed meaning at the bottom. So I got this with one of my gift cards that my parents gave me when they visited. And my mom has been making progress. Thank you so much for those who asked. And the dust cover is also the same color as the book and the deck box. So another deck that I have is the Norse Tarot. There is a book that comes, well, that doesn't come with it, but you can get the book. I didn't get the book. I'll show you the book that I have. That's my main book on Norse lore. And it comes with a detailed back. I love the imagery in here. It does have an energy of being a little isolated. You can feel the type of energy that I would imagine where the Norse lore comes from. And you can see on some of the cards there are the stories and the different gods and goddesses and giants that are in this deck. It's a nice smooth cardstock. And I love how the images, the figures in the images, they look taller, because I've said in a couple videos, when I see gods and goddesses, they appear taller, like they can reach the ceiling. So the book that I have with this, and I love the architecture in my decks, and I love it in this one, and because it gives ode to the environment that they would be in. So I've talked about this in another video. This is The Seed of Yggdrasil by Maria Klivhog, deciphering the hidden messages of old Norse myths. She does have a YouTube channel which Nancy wrote down in my other video. It's the Lady of the Labyrinth, and it's a hefty textbook. I really love the videos that she posted too. I remember watching them over and over again because they were really informative for me, and they gave me other perspectives to look at when deciphering the Eddas. So this is the dust cover, and then it's a tanned book. So an embodiment of goddess lore from around the world. It is the Goddess Dream Oracle. I love this deck. Surprisingly, I used it mainly in the winter, and then I brought my warmer decks out. This one's the only Eastern card in here. It's the Balance Light and Dark, and it goes with the story. The guidebook is incredibly potent. It doesn't give too much on the goddesses, but it gives enough where you can do these for daily draws, and it's not an overwhelming type of reading. You can read it and the next day you can read about another goddess. I really love how they don't have the names of the goddesses on the card, because my main goddess that I work with is the Morgan, and I love using this for overall goddess energy. And this is the Morgan. So this is an amazing deck. I was thinking about showing the Mythical Goddess Tarot. I read with it. Well, I just don't read with it a lot, so I didn't mention it in the video. But I love this deck. And I love in the Mythical Goddess Tarot that the goddesses are drawn with different figures. So my next deck is the Slavic Tarot. Amazing box that it comes in. It's actually smaller than I expected, but it's not bad. It's a little smaller than a Lo Scarabeo book. And I've had this bag for years. I bought it at a dollar store, and I just kept it for that moment where I would find something to put in it, and I ended up putting this deck in there because it doesn't fit a regular sized tarot deck. I love the red. The backings are amazing. The creator, Mai Murray, also has books out. She also makes jewelry that I've gotten too. And the book has information that is information that you don't usually see, I would say, in books for different lore, because Slavic lore isn't the most common that I would hear about. I just love the connection that I have with this deck, and you can definitely read it without knowing the lore, but I feel like the book is well written. I love that it's a kind, honest, intense deck. This was my first card, Baba Yaga. And you can see that there's a Cyrillic type of writing and then a translation for what it is. So the wands and the swords switch a bit, but they aren't too different for those who are used to reading swords with air and wands with fire. Because it's so packed with information, I use it for smaller readings. So I just did a review on this one. This is the Japanese Myth Tarot, and I'll just show you the box. I also didn't show the Dark Goddess Tarot, but I feel like this one has this gets more use, but I still love that one. And I love how sovereign to use the Morgan in there. So this is the Japanese Myth Tarot. This has amazing quality. There is one typo, but I dismiss it because it's a Japanese deck, and I heard that there's a reprint that they fixed it. So with this one, I love the size of the cards and the shape. It does remind me of different shows that I would watch, or maybe a manga that I would read. And they also look like the types of paper where you would do some type of spell work, a prayer, or incantation on. And especially with the major arcana, there are the deities that influence those cards. There are extra cards in here. I love having extra cards in my deck, and I usually keep them in. This is such a poised deck with a lot of intention in terms of the artwork. And I'll make more videos on this. And I love the glacier imagery with the Six of Swords. Or the iced water. Similarly, I have the Kitsune Oracle. Oh, and I knitted this bag for the Japanese Myth Tarot. So the Kitsune Oracle comes in here. So this is one of the main Lucy Cavendish decks that I connect to. I feel like this is an embodiment of Kitsune, or the fox. But there are other cultural influences in here, because there are 2 Korean cards. There are European dragons, but they don't really hold that much lore to it, so I wouldn't really consider it that. It's not as fiery as I thought it would be when I first received it. There is a warmth to it and a familiar energy, because the Morgan gave me the fox as a counterpart. So the Morgan is a Celtic goddess, and I picked this deck up because I wanted to have a deck with fox energy specifically. And I enjoy working with it a lot. So I have the Mythic Tarot. Mythic Tarot is one where I don't use the lore, but there is a great book with it. So this is packed with information. This is my second copy. I really give thanks to the rabbit totem, who I leave in charge of my deck rotations. This one is also one that I would use during hotter seasons. I remember when I first got it, I used it spring and summer, and then I put it away, along with the Lioness Oracle Tarot. There is a newer version out there, but I prefer the artwork in this one. I'm grateful to have this again, because I remember that I did work with it well when I had it. Next is the Fairy Wicca. Then I have an honorable mention after that one. So the Fairy Wicca is one that has a lot of the different aspects of the Morgan, and the book is there's a smaller one too, but I was fortunate to get the large one, and I did do a risky purchase with this one because I got it on Amazon and it was a third-party seller without pictures, and they generally have the same information for the condition of the deck and what it includes. So sometimes you can get burned and just get the book. But I really love this deck. The court cards are a bit the minors are a bit subdued, but I don't mind that. I actually like the minor arcana feeling like a minor arcana. So this one is my deck for the Morgan. It's one of my top decks, and I've been using it for years. It actually got released on my birthday. A lot of Llewellyn's decks get released on my birthday in October. I'm not sure if it's just a release date for decks, but I feel really happy about that. My birthday is also the same as R.L. Stine, the author of Goosebumps. So, my honorable mention is the Legend of the Arthurian Tarot. This is one of the kindest decks I have. This was gifted to me by one of my followers on Instagram. She asked me if I had the book to it because she loved the stories, and I put this as an honorable mention because I don't really use this deck a lot. But when I asked if the deck wants to work with me, it reminds me of the Knight of Cups energy, where it says, we can work together, but we don't have to. You have other decks if you want to work with that. Because it has a loyalty, but it also is so forthcoming. So I love the purple. There is a bit of sorrow to this, but it's not. I think it's the faces in here. It's just such a deck that really comes to you, and it just feels like a faithful friend. And I am excited to read the book, especially with chapter 3. Or the contents here. So, historical roots, the Dark Ages, political landscape, the Saxon threat, coming of the Saxons, invading tribes, struggle, leaders, battle of the Mountbatten, Arthur the historical warrior, early references to Arthur, achieving Celtic legendary status, brief account of the development of Arthurian literature, Celtic legends, the branches of Arthurian tradition, the histories of the chroniclers, the romances, quest for the Holy Grail, transition to medieval ideal, change to religious tone, the legends diversity. So that's in this section. And there's pictures in there for cards too. Sorry, I'm just looking at how much time I have. I know I don't have a lot. So for another embodiment for a cultural deck, I chose the Druidcraft Tarot. Some people argue that this isn't a Druid deck. Either way, I still love the information that this has. This is one of my favorite guidebooks because it gives practical information. It also puts in some historical references and also has pagan attributes to it. In one of my older bags that I got from Savers. I keep saying this, I miss Savers. It's my favorite thrift store. So this is my older copy. The newer one has lighter images, but they're really similar, and I do love them both. I was actually gifted one that was trimmed with the word still on it. But before that, I got the full size deck. Not too recently, maybe 2 years ago. Maybe to see how I would like it. Because that was before I trimmed my deck, or not trimmed my deck, I edged my deck. Because it had a stark white to it. And it didn't sit well with how I liked it to be. So after I made this, I edged it with a faded gold. It makes it look like a book. So I really love using this. I have this on my bedside. This is a type of deck that gives one answer, and it's a solid response too. And it has a dominating presence, but not too much. Not in a way where it feels more masculine or earthy. So my last deck that I'm showing for this video, or decks that go together. So there's the Sacred Path cards in here, and the medicine cards. I have the older editions. So I'm just going to include the Sacred Path cards because I really love the look of them. This is a deck where the cardstock changes a lot, and you can definitely notice it, and even the books, they have different colors, and some of them have extra cards. I don't have the one that has extra cards. Technically I do, because I have the newer version, but this one is my one that I use. I was also thinking about putting the Native American Tarot in here, or even the Star That Never Walks Around Tarot, but it doesn't have too much information, so I didn't include it, so I chose these two to represent that. I really love the Sacred Path cards. So Mary Bow introduced me to these cards. She did this review, and she actually recommended it to me. She said that I think you'll love this deck. And it took me a while to get this copy. I actually got a newer version, and the newer version was very thin. And if you've watched my videos, you may know that I love thinner cardstock, or prefer it. But the cardstock was so thin that I could bend the top and the bottom back and touch each other. That's how thin it was. But this, I love how both of them match. And this are just really beautiful. And it talks about Lisa Sam's, sorry, that's my friend. It's Jamie Sam's. I hope I wasn't saying that the whole time. But it goes through her vision quest and her sacred path. But just to say that for the Star That Never Walks Around, I really love how it pays tribute to the backs of the cards. It shows that the Native American tapestries, or the, not carpet, the rugs, and how they're handmade. This has a lot of meaning. My book looks really disgusting, I'm sorry. But I have a lot of stuff highlighted in here. I've worked with this deck a lot, and it's one of those decks where you really benefit from working with it intensely, and there is a bit of being able to put time towards it, because some decks maybe that I see, not right now, but that I've seen on the market, that I know that it would work wonderfully with me if I would put the work towards it, but I don't feel driven to do that. with this one I felt driven to do that with this. That sentence wasn't great, but you know what I mean. And so I feel a deep connection to this, especially with my practice, because it stems a lot from Native American practices. So I hope that you guys enjoyed my video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And please, if you like this tag and if you have decks that are under this category and you could make it more of an embodiment of a deck or of a cultural experience, or just maybe one that really focuses on it, that's amazing too. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll make a tag name if that helps. I'll see you in another video. Bye.